President Trump declaring the situation at our southern border a crisis today, announcing plans to limit the number of asylum seekers coming into the country, saying that they must lawfully present themselves at entry points.
My administration is finalizing a plan to end the rampant abuse of our asylum system. It's abused, to halt the dangerous influx and to establish control over America's sovereign borders. Those who choose to break our laws and enter illegally will no longer be able to use meritless claims to gain automatic admission into our country. When we're strong at the border, people will turn away and they won't bother. Eventually, people won't be coming here anymore when they realize they can't get through.
So that was laid out by the president today in strong terms. I'm joined now by an undocumented immigrant who entered America at the age of 12, Jose Antonio Vargas, founder and CEO of Define American and the author of Dear America, Notes of an Undocumented Citizen. Jose, welcome back to the program tonight. Thanks for being here. Everything that the president laid out there is, essentially part of the laws of the land. Do you have any problem with anything that he said as a, person who's living in this country illegally?
Well, the problem is this is a president that's changing laws if he doesn't like the law. It is legal for people to apply for asylum.
Absolutely.
That is the law of the land, right? And so the refugees, and I have to say, by the way, this is Fox News. We have a responsibility to tell the public the difference between refugees and undocumented immigrants. Mm-hmm. The Central Americans who are coming are applying for refugee status, right? They're actually refugees who are going to apply for asylum. That's different than undocumented immigrants. And I have to say, by the way, the fastest growing undocumented population in this country are coming from Asia, from countries like the Philippines, Korea, India, not from Latin America and Central America.
Right. But you know as well as I do. Okay. All right, hold on. So you know as well as I do that a lot of, in that situation, what happens is there's a visa and the visa is overstayed. And that is also a big issue for immigration. However, what the president's saying is we're just not going to do catch and release anymore. If you get into the country, if you climb over the wall, if you come through the point of entry, you will be held and you will be processed. The problem is that a very tiny percentage of people who are coming across that border, and I'm not just talking about the caravan, I'm talking about people in general, do not have legitimate asylum claims. So a small percentage have
process.
Yeah, that's fine. So go through the process, but you're going to have to stay together at the border in a government facility until you can go through the process, because you know as well as I do that once they release them, they're never showing up for their court date. So they are rigging the system in a way that is not fair to other people who have waited years to get into the country going through the legal process. What do you think? What do you say to that?
By the way, you're talking about my family members who are waiting in the Philippines to get to this country legally, right? Like, you can't separate us like we're like not in the same family.
I'm not. I'm saying there are plenty of people, and there's a process. That's all this is about. It's about going through the process, not climbing over the wall and running somewhere to stay forever.
They're not climbing. They're not climbing over a wall. They're literally walking here. Mothers,
I'm talking
families.
I'm talking about regular. I'm talking about illegal immigrants. There's 150 people climbing over the Yuma sector every single day.
You're conflating people, Martha.
No, I'm not.
Martha,
no, I'm
net
not.
migration, net migration from Mexico to the U.S. is the lowest level since 2005.
But you've still got
and yet
15.
Here in Fox News,
no, but the numbers overall are. It's not even a question of whether or not the numbers are lower than they used to be. The question is whether or not you have a process to go through. And there is a process that exists, and it is expected to be adhered upon. People are happy to welcome immigrants to this nation. We're all immigrants. All of our families came here. Your family came here. My family came here over the course of generations. The question is that there is a process that has to be gone through in order to do that. What do you disagree with in that?
Here's what I think. It's really important that we make sure that we're defining our terms. There's absolutely a process for people to apply for asylum, right?
Sure.
Right now, there is no process for someone like me who's undocumented to, quote unquote, get myself legal, right? There's no process for us to write our status. So
no, you're right about that, and that's the fault of Congress. That's the fault of Congress.
That is absolutely the fault of Congress. Absolutely, that we agree on.
Nobody's conflating anything. There are people who are here illegally, like yourself, and there are people who want to come here. Some of whom, a small percentage of whom, and they should be separated out when they have legal asylum claims. They should be welcome to this country, and they have to go through the process. That's all anyone is saying. There's nothing cruel about that, is there?
Martha, why is the president being so hysterical about this?
I didn't think he was hysterical today. He was quite, quite practical. He went through all of the different issues that you know you face on this issue, and it's obviously a question that has to be resolved. I think the frustration is greater with Congress than it is with any of those people who are walking in that caravan.
I have to tell you, it is tactical because we have an election on Tuesday. And this is a president that could not have gotten elected president if he did not start spreading lies about people like me and about what's happening in Central America.
Did the president start the caravan?
No, this has been going on since 2010. Humanitarian groups have been trying to solve this issue since 2010, right? Which is why to conflate this issue and make it seem like it's some sort of a crisis, as if all of a sudden all these brown people are now taking over America.
Nobody said anything about brown people. You did. You said that. No one said anything about it.
Watching Fox News all day, it's really hard to tell.
You know what? The problem is, I mean, this is a border issue, okay? So the individuals that you're referring to are coming from the South, all right? But the problem is, and you said it yourself, there's issues with people who come in and overstay visas from different countries.
Yes.
For the southern border, the problem is that a lot of people come in and by their own admission and quotes that we've been watching across the course of the last few weeks, when they look for the poorest part of the border and they run in, and as soon as they land here and they're legally on this soil, they can claim asylum. That's the law of the land. But then there's a process that has to be gone through. It's not about where they're coming from. Let me ask you this question,
Martha.
Yeah, go ahead.
Martha, let me ask you this question. Why are they coming? What is the root causes of migration?
Well, you can ask them. I've watched them be interviewed all week. They're coming for a better life. They want a better life. And there's a process for that. There's a process for that, just like people who are coming from the Philippines or Poland or anywhere else or Afghanistan, where there's thousands of people who also want to come. There's a process, and they have to be part of that process is all I'm saying, Jose.
But specifically in Central America, what does U.S. foreign policy and trade agreements have to do with why Central America is the way that it is right now? How did the drug war, how did the American government siding with different regimes in Central America during the 80s, how is that contributing to all of this? We have to ask harder questions about why people are even coming.
Well, I think you raise an excellent point, and I think that there does need to be more to improve the economies in those areas. We give hundreds of millions of dollars to those countries every year, by the way. So the funds are going there. Whether or not those governments have the capacity to serve their people well is a completely different issue. Are you saying that's America's fault, that those governments don't have the capacity to serve their people well?
It is not about anybody's fault. I'm just talking about history. I'm talking about what has been done in those countries in the 80s. Both the United States and those governments have a responsibility to what's happened in Central America, right? And why people are coming here. I mean, do you think people enjoy leaving their livelihoods and their households just so they don't have to fear for their lives?
No, I don't at all.
They don't.
I feel for them.
No,
absolutely feel for them. That there's, I'll just say it one more time and then we got to go. But there's a process that has to be gone through, and that's the way it has to work. No one is unsympathetic to their situation. That's absolutely not what this is about. It's not about discrimination. It's not about being unsympathetic. It's about having to figure out a way to make this work in an orderly manner.
And we should let them get through the process.
Well, I think that's what we heard, defined in a new way today. Jose, thank you.